A large drum. Oh, gosh damn it. I'm trying to read the second. Oh, good. It made it to Notion. The second one did.
Hey, well.
Yeah. 25 cents for digital access. No fucking thank you. You're not worth a quarter. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. 99, like this Express News here, I guarantee you, is not worth a quarter.
I am surprised at how easily all those paywalls get broken by just send article to Notion.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, it's like 1 out of 10 that doesn't make it to Notion, you know,
Yeah.
which is that's pretty damn good. Let's see where we are. Here we are. Burn and return. Show us your titties.
Fiddles.
A little direct.
I was playing. So Notion had this big event earlier this week where they announced a bunch of new features.
Oh, and, yeah. Anything worth a damn?
Yeah, if you're super, into Notion like me.
If you're a power user.
So if you start playing around with some of it, like if you actually go open up, you go into the BNR episodes and you open up the one for today, you'll see the layouts changed a little, and they let you kind of play around with layouts now.
Oh,
and so
okay.
Little minor things that I'm like, hey, this flows a lot easier for me seeing named by, or if there was a guest or whatever, right underneath the show title. And then some of this other stuff that's just kind of like metadata for the episode that only I care about is hidden behind a tab, right? Like you got to hit show details or something, and then it pops out a bunch of kind of almost worthless details for really anything, unless you care about it. So I enjoyed playing around with that a little bit. And then they've got like forms. So now there's a bunch of companies that sold integration, like, hey, use forms from us, and through the API we'll send it to your Notion database. And now Notion's like, nah, we want that money. And so they introduced forms. So, but
have you used any of the Notion AI yet?
I have not. I got a little nervous about it because people were talking about how it slowed down their workspace.
Oh, really?
In Notion, yeah, and they'd have to email and ask for it to be removed because it slowed it down so much. I wanted to, but then I started reading that, and I was like, oh, I'll wait a little bit and let the kinks kind of get worked out,
Yeah, I've been trying to, fuck around with more of the built-in AI tools, and rarely do I find them an asset. The ones I do find an asset are going to be ChatGPT 4 Auth and Auth 1. Those two are incredibly powerful. But the rest of them, there's nothing about them that really get me going.
If you go into the show, the like BNR episodes, I'm certain eventually their AI could do what I want it to do. But like, for instance, the show notes, getting all the formatting right and stuff each night. And like, here's the one that I got to put into Patreon. Here's the one I put into the regular podcast RSS. Here's the one that I put into the YouTube. description, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they each have their own little quirks and formatting. And I gave up so much because it's like nobody cares except for me on some of these little details that I'm adding. I stopped doing some of them. And I'm like, I'd love to bring that back. And I feel like the AI could probably assist with that in a little while once they add more refinement. But I started doing a little bit of it because they're formulas. Notion added a bunch of, they expanded their formulas. I do have some automations set up with some of the various databases. So when I add a new episode or do something, some triggers fire and send off elsewhere and do things. But I started to play around with that actually today on the auto notes section. When you slide out that side panel, you'll see like got it to the point where it's like, here's burn, here's headline, here's return, and it dumps a text and link, each one kind of thing. But it's not easy to copy it out of there right now.
Yeah.
Eventually. But they added like, if you go look already, you can see for the Dirty Deeds 2025. If you open up one of the attendees, I added a button where now if someone cancels and you hit cancel, it's like, hey, are you sure you want to cancel this attendee? And cancel attendee, keep attendee. But I added a bunch of stuff into that. So now when people RSVP or whatever for the Wednesday night thing, the Thursday brunch or meetup or whatever, it'll go against the capacity counts and it'll do all the math and figure everything out. So now I don't have to go and re-figure all that out and re-double check it each time. So next year when I'm doing all that, it'll be a little nicer.
Yeah.
So yes, there is stuff in there that's nice that I've been playing around with. Like that's why I said you gotta really have a rubbery one for Notion. And yeah.
I mean, after a certain point, once you just get burned into the system, I mean, you're burned into the system.
Yeah. And that's okay because, like I was telling you, all my mileage stuff and some of this stuff is nice now because you can add custom variables and stuff that trigger based on whatever conditions before you even create a page. You can have a button where you click create new page in a database, and then it'll do a bunch of cool stuff depending on whatever you set up.
So it'll just start executing a bunch of, we'll call them tasks.
Sure, exactly. And some of that you could even say like, go send this email to this person or make this Slack post and stuff like that. So you could really, you could without it being AI, right? Like you can still get pretty wired into the rest of your stuff doing various things.
I would definitely call that automations.
Yeah, and that's what they called it, is automations. So
okay.
But yeah, been fun kind of tuning it into something a little more. Hey Ray, we're just talking about dumb stuff.
Hi Ray.
Right. No. Hello, Matt. Okay, I guess
You're
we're
talking
not
about
matching shirts today.
how are you using Notion? Do what?
I guess we're not matching shirts today. Oh well.
Yeah,
Close.
Ray's been doing the muscle shirt a couple weeks in a row, and then Matt comes in wearing it. Matt, I feel like
I switched it up.
Did you have any face makeup on today or something, Matt?
Oh yeah.
You did?
Oh yeah. I was.
Plenty of face makeup. Plenty of face makeup. He was a zombie.
I was gonna say it's still.
Yeah.
I still feel like I see it on you.
I do.
You do.
There might be a tinge of it left on me. Where at? Where's it?
Just your eyes. I just feel like your eyes.
Flavor saver.
Like
They're a little brighter, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Whatever with your
it's
face,
like-
your
It's funny
eyes are
'cause I had
sparkling.
black around my eye.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you look like you have
Here's the-
eyeshadow, Matt. I mean, not kidding.
I was we were the Suicide Squad, and I'll throw it in
Yeah.
the thread here.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I saw the pictures on the
It was the
Discord, and
Joker.
I thought, oh, man. Yeah, it was so funny.
That's pretty good.
I wore the vest with no shirt on. Now, I did have a jacket, but it came off pretty quick at Cotton Eye Joe last night. And that was kind of fun. Because you can't wear that at Cotton Eye Joe at any other time, but it was the Halloween themed one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, fuck it. And then they had some shitty ass band that played until 10 o'clock. And we left at like 11:30, you know, but I mean, that band, great singer. The song selection was absolute fucking trash. They were supposed to be an 80s cover band. And I mean, they picked the most fucking obscure 80s songs. It's like, you know, Cotton Eye Joe, that's a party, right? You think it'd be like fucking, you know, Journey and Guns N' Roses, everything else, you know, all your party 80 music. Fuck no, man. I mean, it went from like yacht rock to, you know, like obscure fucking Cure songs and stuff. And I'm like, this song never even made it to the fucking radio. Why are we doing this? And so it was a little bit of a head scratcher, to say the least.
My limit on 80s stuff is I only like the cool stuff, okay? I only like the cool stuff.
And so much good parties, 80s music. It's like, how do you screw that up? But they did.
You know what? How did they manage that? Because you see, my idea of good 80s music would be, of course, Metallica. If you know, you know. Right?
Yeah. Inner Sandman comes on. You never know what's going to happen at that point. Yeah, that's right.
Watch out.
That's right.
Watch out. Watch the hell up.
Hide your kids.
Hide your wives.
What was that interview? God, that was such a good interview. One of the early viral videos.
Yeah.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife. They're raping everybody out here. Hide your husbands too.
Bed Intruder? Yeah, it was Bed Intruder. Antoine Dodson.
So good. Antoine Dodson. Just one of the great ones. Oh my God. I love that.
Yep.
I bet. And then they made the song out of it. And I was back early when they would make songs out of it. And I don't know why. It was that one specifically. Absolutely fucking kill me. That one. And then the Leprechaun. Do you remember when they saw the Leprechaun down in Alabama? Have you seen this news clip?
It's not ringing a bell.
Oh my, we're gonna have to watch this. I'm sorry, I hate to do this. But this is so good.
I think apropos for Halloween, I have my NSMA bomber shirt right now.
I actually wore that the other day.
Cool.
Crichton community, many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah? Yeah!
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
Gosh.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff. And it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, still on there, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This
Oh my
guy
gosh.
helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the
This
leprechaun.
reminds me of Telly
He's
Coleman's
suited
story.
up
Listen
from
to this
head
guy.
to toe.
This wars off smells right here.
Come on.
This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky and
Great grandfather, thousands of years ago.
hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold at. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold.
I don't know what it is. I'll tell you why. So this was this is like 2006 when it came out, and I mean that is like something you would see on the news in Memphis growing up. And so when I saw another city doing the same thing, I was like, oh my God, I feel seen. There are more places in the U.S. besides Memphis that you have Spot the Leprechaun Day. I can't remember specifically a leprechaun being loose, but I mean you saw that all the time on the news in Memphis. Could be a crackhead. There's a number of times I've heard that in the news. God, it's one of my favorites.
John P. in the chat says, my cousin went to med school around that area. We never let her live it down.
Oh, shit. Mobile, Alabama. What a
Oh
town
my.
that is. What is the other thing too is that growing up in Memphis, that's like, you know, a lot of people went to Gulf Shores when you went to the beach, right? And so, you know, you always pass through Mobile, and or sometimes you know you just stop right there and you know, maybe stay there, and then you know if you're poor, you stay in Mobile and then drive to Gulf Shores, right? And then go home in the afternoon back to Mobile. And man, it was just, God, it was so, I don't know. At the time, it was so much fun. The little moments of our youth. Could be a crackhead. Okay. Oh, you're here, DeMay. This is what I was going to mention. You'll know this name, Andrew Muntz.
Mm-hmm.
Text me, and
He's a huge fan of the show. Huge fan, for real.
yeah, he was like, hey
Really?
man, I got some ideas for the podcast, and I was like, great, come on the show and share them. He was just like, oh okay. It kind
He would be good. He was like, I don't want to come on, but I'm like, just come on. It'll be fun.
That's perfect, because I said exactly that. Good.
Come on.
Instead of you telling me what to talk about on the show, how about you just come on and talk about it? That'd be a lot easier. We'll solve that problem real quick.
We're almost
He's
4
like,
years
"Oh,
deep
okay."
in this. We need more people to talk to us.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
talk.
Come
Yeah.
talk to me about your experience, man. Something besides my experience, because I get jaded and shit. Mix it up.
Yeah,
That'll be
I'm
fun.
kind of cynical myself, you know.
No,
So
I don't leave the dungeon.
Yeah. So it would be nice to hear from somebody else, because otherwise we just turn into kind of an echo chamber. Pretty much.
I gotta go back and look in our chat.
Looking at the
Let's see. Shit, where's it at? There's something
I have not watched anything, but boy, the news is just all Madison Square
Oh.
Garden all the time right now.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. The closer we get to this thing,
You talk about like psychologically detaching from it. I couldn't be any more mentally detached from it than I am right now.
I've felt this the entire time, but it's cranked up to this point that is this really the best that we can do? I mean, we fought an entire world war on two fronts, and this is the best we can do.
Yeah,
Fuck
and
me.
because this is the reality, DeMay. This is the reality. When we talk about the dumbing of America, this is the product of it. I think this is the product of social media. Yeah, I want to say that there's a lot of good that comes with social media, but there's an equivalent amount of bad that comes with it, and it has led to an incredible amount of brain decay, unlike anything we've ever witnessed ever in the history of the world, and it has given authority, voice, recognition to a group of people. And I'm not saying just a single collective group, but I'm saying a group of people who otherwise
groups of people.
would not their opinions would be laughed at and regarded as absurd and cast aside. And now it's highlighted as fodder to hook people emotionally into something. And at this point, it can't be described other than anything than emotional manipulation.
Fair. It's fair.
It is absurd.
Okay, but let me take that a step further and ask. Maybe it is an intelligence thing. Maybe it's an emotional intelligence thing, knowledge, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do so many people, and this is left, right, center, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter where you land, could have so little in their life to worry about, whether it be family, work, community, service, whatever it is, right? That they have to put so much time, so much emphasis, so much energy and emotion into this.
And money.
And
the amount of money that is going into this is fucking, you know why? Because the quality of life has increased so much. And there is so much obnoxious amount of fake money in the economy that it has just turned into an absolute fucking shit show. I mean, like I hate to say it. Because this is my personal. I want to get this really way far ahead. This is my personal opinion alone, and I'm going to sound like an absolute fucking lunatic for saying this. As we have done away with meritocracy and merit in favor for No Child Left Behind and all the other Department of Education policies that have dumbed down schools. Now we're getting into a generation or two that have become full-fledged products of that. And I think even starting with millennials, right? Especially younger millennials went straight through that shit, right? And now we have two generations of those in the workforce. And it's just, and then you've got Gen X who is apathetic as fuck. I mean, just completely, you couldn't get a more apathetic generation in the entire world. This is the result of it. This is 100% of the result of the result. And
well, Matt,
I don't think we have anything to blame except the fact that, yeah, on paper you're Gen X, Ray, but like, for example, if you were to contrast your personality with my sister. My sister's the same age as you, and again, like, this was my sister at 18, 19 years old. She was the one who asked my parents, like, hey, I want to go see Rolling Stone in Germany. And they said, absolutely fucking not. And what did my sister do? She called my aunt and was like, I need you to cover for me because I'm going to Germany for 2 weeks and I'm going to go see the Rolling Stones. And my aunt fucking did it, right? And then my sister did. She deuced out, didn't tell anybody for 10 years. And then a long time down the road was like, fuck yeah, I went and saw Mick Jagger in Germany. Great time.
Wow, Matt. Because
that was the kind of person my sister was, and now, no fucking chance. She's just be like, it's not interested. I'm like, fuck, you aren't interested in that. What happened? Where did your zest for life go?
Well,
and when she says things like, I'm tired, I'm like, the fuck are you tired for? The fuck are you tired for? I'm not tired. I've got kids. I've got a business. I'm not fucking tired.
That's like
you just don't care. You gave up.
Yeah, she quit she just flamed out. She just did that one bad thing and then she flamed out afterward, Matt. I mean that's all I can
No, she stayed there. No, she stayed there until
Yeah, she flamed out.
Probably until 2008. I would say that is when, and and when she was doing that shit, this is in the 90s, right? And I would say she was just fucking balls to the wall, full throttle until 2008. And let's see, my sister was born in 74.
Okay, because remember now, Matt, I'm 1972. I'm 1972.
Yeah.
However, I consider the first, 48 years of my life. Let's not count the first 48 years of my life. Let's just kind of, cast that aside or put it in a box somewhere and just kind of leave it in the basement of the office building. Okay. The rest of my life, on the other hand. Yeah.
I'll give you an example, right? And you tell me what third grade was like for you. And then I'll tell you about third grade in the state of Tennessee. And again, this is super controversial. This is just my opinion.
I'm just gonna guess before this starts, and this doesn't sound racist, but I'm gonna guess there's probably a few more black people in third grade in Tennessee.
Okay, doesn't matter.
It depends on the city you're in. It depends on the city you're in. But I'll say this: statistically, the performance on this was about the same. If you looked at the demographics, the performance of it was about the same. The third grade test taken statewide, which is a new thing that they're doing, that in order to move on to fourth grade, is that you have to have a minimum level of fluency in reading. That is the one thing that they're putting on now. They test math and something else in reading, but you have to have a minimum level of fluency to move past third grade. And there's caveats in there, right? So, for example, if you have a learning disorder, if you have psychological issues, psychiatric issues, if you have English as a second language, there's caveats in there, right? And what was pretty much universal is that 50% of Tennessee third graders could not pass a third grade fluency level.
Wow.
And the citizens of the state of Tennessee had an absolute fucking meltdown. And so you had three options, right? Number one was that you could retake the test. Number two was that you could enroll with a tutor for like summer school through, your public school. And then number three was that you could retake the third grade. And so, they could not find the rate of non-passage was so high that they couldn't find enough teachers to teach summer school. And so what they did is that they opted, they said, okay, we're going to make the test easier and allow people to retake it, and they did, and then it was like a 78% pass rate. And what was amazing, this is what's amazing to me, is that they shared sample questions from the test. As if this was going to highlight some snake in the grass that this test was holding on to. And it was, the first thing I did was take it to my second grader and ask, hey, can you solve these 10 questions? And it was like, read a paragraph, answer the questions, or read a sentence, and, you know, in a multiple choice scenario, give the inference. She did. She got everyone right.
You know what, Matt? Okay.
What the fuck is going on, man? What the fuck is what would happen to third graders in Hawaii in your day, right?
No,
If they didn't
to
pass
this day, Matt. No, to this day, Matt, because you know what's the differences between Hawaii and a lot of other states? There ain't no social promotion happening here. Never was and never will be, because do you know what happens when someone does not make the grade here in Hawaii? Do you know what happens?
They don't go forward.
They get fucking flunked. They get flunked, okay? And that is where a lot of people shit on Hawaii and say, oh, your school performance is so horrible. No, it's not. Do you know what? You know what those numbers reflect? People getting cut because they cannot make the grade. Because you see, fortunately or unfortunately, our school system is more like an Asian school system versus an American school system.
You know,
that's the difference.
Again, I know that there's this insatiable thirst and hunger and desire to move kids into a 4-year collegiate program. But this idea that you have to go direct from high school into a state 4-year university is insane, especially now. Again, in the state of Tennessee, you can go to a technical college, a 2-year college, Mississippi State here. You can go 2 years for free.
Free even.
Collect your feet under you. Find what it is that you're passionate about. Then enroll in your 4-year university of choice.
Because unfortunately, Matt, you know, community college here in Hawaii, you pay like fuck for it. Okay? You pay.
The lottery
like
pays for it here. The fucking lottery generates so much money, it covers it.
Damn, because you see, here's the thing about Hawaii. Hawaii is so anti-gambling of any kind that, did you know that we can't even have a lottery of any kind here? It's not allowed.
Oh boy, do we have lotteries here. Hey, J-Pink, when's the last time you've gone into a gas station and there wasn't someone in line buying like 10, 15 fucking tickets and just standing off to the side and scratched them all off right there?
Oh, man. And that new Weigel's on Pellissippi over here or whatever.
Yes,
as you're coming into Oak Ridge, like it's got all the fancy new machines and everything. You don't even have to go talk to the. You can find out like, oh, this one's a winner. I just got to go up to the cashier and collect my winnings.
You don't even have to scratch it off anymore. You just scan the ticket after you purchase it.
Well, I mean, it's got the scanner right there. I don't know if you have to like scratch the barcode or whatever, but yeah, it's right there. Like you know before you walk up to the cashier that like it's not just like I think this is a winner. I need you to double check it. You've already double checked. Like, yep, give me my money.
Wow. You know, you see, and here's the thing now, J-Pink and Matt. My question to you is the presence of the lottery such that people neglect their family responsibilities just to go play that lottery ticket every week? Because
I don't give a shit.
Claim.
If it's paying for kids to find their way through community college, then I don't give a fuck.
Okay, Matt. And the reason why I say that is because in Hawaii, they have this notion that we cannot allow any gambling here because people will gamble and neglect their responsibilities. I mean, it's like a fucking nanny state here.
They, the lottery here, they pay for education, but all they did was they took the money that the lottery generates and then offset that and just said, all right, we'll just cut that out of the education budget since we've already got the lottery money coming in. And we'll just put that back over here in the general fund. We'll use it for other stuff. That's what they do with the lottery money. That was just like 35 years ago. It's still that way in Ohio. So here, all right, here I have one more question, and then I have something to lighten the mood, a little palate cleanser before we get into the show. So my question is, off of everything that I asked before, how are there so many, and I know this is going to tug on Matt's heartstrings, so many fucking people on both sides that think and are voting because they think the government's going to help them. But they think that, you know, Kamala Harris and she's going to do all that, whatever, right? Or Trump's going to come in here and nationwide ban on abortion and do it. Like, who are these people that think that they just can't go fucking live their lives and enjoy the very, very short time that we have here? I don't get it. I don't understand it.
The government
Where did all
does
these people
not
come
give
from?
a fuck about
None of
anyone
these
other
people
than
give a fuck.
themselves.
That's
No one.
exactly right. None of these people do. It's just
Yep.
it's
Do not
mind-blowing.
expect anything from the government. Okay. Do not
Where-
expect anything from the government.
We can say that, but where did all these people come from that are like, you know what? I'm going to vote for her or him, and you know what? That's what's going to fix my problems. That right there is going to take care of it.
You know what's going to fix my problems? When they cut the entirety of the federal government and get rid of the income taxes that I pay. That'll fix a lot of problems right there.
No,
My property
you know what'll
taxes,
fix my
that'll
problem?
fix a lot of problems. My sales
You know what'll
tax,
fix
that'll
my
fix
problem?
a lot of
Yep.
problems. Be ready to
What'll
be done
fix
with
my
all of
problems,
that.
Matt, is when all of the alphabet agencies are shut down. Okay, all of them. Shut all of the fucking alphabet agencies down immediately and completely. All freaking gone. If it's a 3-letter agency or 4-letter agency, bye bye, aloha. You're gone. All right.
How about that for lightening
Aye.
the mood, DeMay?
I'll lighten the mood here with this, and we'll go to the show. So I got to thinking about this the other day. I sent a message so I would remind myself to, is one of my new favorite things to do is I will go pick up food, you know, like carry out for my wife. And I generally, if we're going to get carry out, like she likes fancy, like foo fancy places that have like, you know, fucking vegan shit or what. I don't eat that stuff. So it's whatever. Like I'm glad to go, you know, go around the corner, go get it, whatever.
Yeah.
But these places usually have a certain type of people that work there. Okay. And so when I go up and I say, hey, I'm here to pick up my food for Kristen, there is a probably 2-second pause where I just melt their face off to make them think, wait a second, is this guy an A, DoorDash driver, B, a male who's pretending to be female, or B, a female who still has his old name or her old name but is pretending to be male? And it really fucking throws them off. I mean, like, melts their face. And it's a good 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then everything clicks. They're like, okay, like, I don't know what it is, but this guy's probably none of those things, and I should just go get his fucking food. And that's all I really wanted anyway.
No.
But
Okay,
that
Ryan.
little ripple, that little ripple in the time-space continuum, I greatly enjoy
that
those
is-
2
that is
seconds
the-
I get.
Okay,
I greatly enjoy
could
it.
you, Matt, Ryan, could you imagine me picking up food at one of those places? How big that would go over?
I don't know, Ray. I mean, I think
I don't think they'd say
I don't-
anything about it unless
I
you
gotta-
told
I
them
gotta-
your name was like Ginger or something.
I was
I'm
gonna
here to
say
pick
there's
up an
probably-
order for Ginger, and then they're trying to bring it to you. And
Because
they'd be
you
like,
see, understand that as long as I keep my shirt on, I still pass as the vegan bureaucrat.
I think
As
the
long as-
number of
as long as I keep-
rays that
as
went
long as I
male to
keep my shirt
female has
on.
got to be in the single digits nationwide.
No, yeah, but as long as I
Probably.
keep my shirt on, I'll pass as the vegan bureaucrat.
No,
not a lot of
I
rays
don't,
that end up on that list.
Yeah, I don't think. But seriously, right next time, if next time you're in the CONUS and you go to one of those places, you have to tell them, I have a pickup order. When you give your order, tell them your name is Sheila, or Stacy, Peyton, something that is like slightly ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
And then when you show up and you're like, I'm here to pick up an order for Stacy. And you're like, oh, thank you, sir, for coming in.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch some old SNL clips of Pat. I know we've talked about it before, but God,
Pat is just
ambiguous Pat. Yeah,
Pat
ambiguous Pat.
You're not gonna get that. That wouldn't pass, must.
But then again, yeah, I could still pass as a vegan bureaucrat, though. I could still pass. Matt Singh, doubt.
Yeah, big doubt. All right, let's kick this off.
As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
With the DJ Scratch, you know what that means. Welcome to another episode of Burn and Return. My name is Matt. Sometimes I go by the Grass Factor Martin. Alongside me, we have Rado and DeMay. Gentlemen, start your engines. We're recording this on a Sunday. It's getting cooler outside. Fall is among us. I almost said fungus is among us, but definitely not. It's fall.
Not for me, Matt.
Yeah, fungus is among you here and the rest of the world. It's getting a little cooler outside. There's a little fog in the atmosphere on the ride to the office in the mornings, and I don't know. You know, the year is coming to a close for everybody. How are y'all handling it?
I'm just here to pick up the DoorDash for genitals.
Wait. Do you think the girl who's making the rounds on Twitter right now for doing the 100-member whatever, do you think she's recruiting these people? Are they like, is this one of those where you put out an ad for a DoorDash and you're like, you know, hey, I got 100 orders
I don't
here.
know,
By the way,
man.
while you're here, I mentioned this not too terribly long ago.
You
when
can't
my wife and I were
spill
in
too much
Pensacola,
into
Florida.
Go ahead.
I saw a guy that had a shirt on that said, "Stop making stupid people famous." And boy, do we just lust to give these people just credence and attention. I mean, I'm doing it right now. Literally, I'm doing it right now as we speak. I don't know. It's fascinating. Other than that, how the hell is everybody doing?
Great. I mean, just gonna say that, you know, if ever, and I don't care if this is a male or female, this is slut shaming all the sluts, is that if you go to spend time with a loved one or a person, just make sure there's not like one of those deli counter, you know, take a ticket, now serving.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like you're at the BMV.
A132, now up. A132. 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 Will somebody tell A132 to come out of the front?
That chick thinks that DMV stands for dick smashing vaginas.
Oh,
she just got
God.
Yikes.
If you don't know what we're talking about,
down on the Jesus Christ, J Pink.
Go.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. That's a toofer.
There is a young lady out there that is claiming that she has slept with 100 individuals in a 24-hour, some less than a day.
14 hours. She said it took 14 hours.
We don't understand it. This is a sure sign that life is passing us by and we're getting old because we don't understand
I'm
it.
gonna say
Now,
something horrible right now, and I probably shouldn't say this. I'm gonna say it anyway. Is that she was one good father away from making better decisions. Let's check out this week's headlines. I should not have said that. Yes.
one of our top episodes all time, I think, is like the one that's entitled something like "Why Did Your Dad Love You" or something like that. Probably just because so many people type that into YouTube and then click us and they're like, "What do these three guys know about this? This should be very enlightening, morally supportive." And then they're like, "These fucking people, what is their problem?"
They're scumbags and assholes today. Jeez.
But good news is Dad hates them, but their lawns look banging now. They found out.
They are banging, that's for sure. We had an overturned semi that spilled herbicide across Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Marshall County. This is Tyler Longview Tejas. We had a crash involving an 18-wheeler wherein the tractor trailer ended up turning over and spilled a large drum of herbicide across all lanes of the road at about 4:30 p.m. We had a lot of traffic shut down. And the reason why I bring this up is I think the picture here is fascinating. It is looking like they're using some pretty simple absorbent here to clean this up. And my question is, guys, is what do you think they're cleaning up if they're just using a couple of snakes and some sawdust to get that up? Probably glyphosate.
Probably glyphosate. And you know what's kind of like weirding me out right now? The total lack of PPE on the person doing the spill cleanup. You know, I mean, look at that, because you've got gallons of herbicide concentrate all around you, and the guy is walking through that shit in just his regular shoes. That's weirding me out. Next
I do
thing
have
is all of his exposed skin. I mean, I'm just at a loss because, like, when I was going through the section of my certification regarding spill cleanups, because you're probably dealing with a punctured or broken container of concentrate, they want you in as much protection as possible because you're dealing with gallons of herbicide concentrate uncontained.
Yep.
The
Whatever
good
it is,
news
they're
here,
not
though.
real concerned about it. Go ahead, DeMay. Sorry, I cut you off.
No. I was going to say, if you put that picture back up, J Pink, it's a horrible thing, everything. In light of all that, though, I do have some uplifting news about this, is that because of the spill, really doesn't make a difference here outside of, seeing the pavement, because that grass on the side of the road couldn't get any more fucking dead than it's already is.
Good point, Ryan. Good point.
Everything's okay. All is well.
Everything is okay. Speaking of dead grass, let's not talk about that real quick. How long can Bermuda grass fairways stay vibrant? A multi-state study reveals the effects of soil moisture, mowing height, and fall fertilization on transition zone winter kill. I thought this is very timely. DeMay found this here. It says the study improving winter survival of interspecific hybrid Bermuda grass in the Mid-Atlantic region through cultural practices was published in Crop Forage Turfgrass Management Journal in August. Co-author of the study and assistant professor of turfgrass science with Arkansas Ag Experiment Station noted that although the work focused on golf courses, the recommendations can be applied equally. Side growers can use these, sports field managers, etc. Much of the work for golf courses was done on fairway height Bermuda grass, which is usually comparable to sports fields. Many of our turf grass professionals manage hybrid Bermuda grasses in the Mid-Atlantic. Winter injury is one of their biggest concerns. This multi-state project was designed to answer some of the practical questions that would benefit our industry stakeholders. It goes on to talk about the results here. It says there are three primary management practices for turf grass, but particularly with winter kill, they play a major role. I said avoiding late summer applications of nitrogen on Bermuda grass was the standard. Healthy roots are vital to winter survival, and it was thought that fall fertilization could favor lush foliage growth in lieu of root growth, therefore increasing chances of winter injury. However, our research showed that slow-release nitrogen applications through mid-September had either no impact or in some cases positive impact on turfgrass quality and color. More importantly, no negative impacts were observed as a result of late-season nitrogen applications. Mowing height did not have a substantial effect on winter kill, but it did reduce winter weed populations when we mowed at higher heights, which is a useful thing in finding, really useful finding and serendipitous way takeaway from the study. The general rule of thumb is to increase mowing height slightly as Bermuda grass approaches winter dormancy. How much depends on the starting point while actively growing in season. It seemed that 3/4 of an inch seemed to be the sweet spot, although we did not see consistent impacts in mowing height on winter injury. We did notice that mowing lower at ½ inch opened up the canopy enough for weed germination frequency to increase. Mowing at 1 inch sometimes slowed spring green up a little. It turns out moisture is critical. There's definitely a positive correlation with increased soil moisture prior to short-term freezing events, resulting in better turf survival. It's not cut and dry, say, to irrigate your soil to 25% volumetric water content before a freeze, and you'll be fine. The idea is to avoid having droughty soil before a freezing event. Adequate soil moisture is certainly one of the most crucial management practices to reduce winter kill. Is that you get a lot of ideas and perspectives when you collaborate on projects like this. The team began working in 2019 while he's a grad student at Va Tech. Then went to work with USGA. Doherty was a graduate student at the University of Maryland, working under Roberts. Later took a job at Clemson. This project exemplifies the benefits of collaboration, as the primary study was performed at 3 geographically unique locations in the Mid-Atlantic. By bringing in additional resources from Northwest Arkansas, we were truly able to use broad strokes for practical recommendations to turfgrass professionals throughout the transition zone with confidence that our results apply across the board. Anyway, kudos to these guys for getting this information out, because this is highly actionable. And, whenever, again, I think another perfect example that we had, at least here in East Tennessee last year, was we had a record amount of snow in January, I think it was. I think we had like 10 inches of snow. Some areas saw as high as 13 inches of snow. We don't get that here, right? And so what we did end up seeing is a lot of winter kill that resulted in that. But if you also look at our historical rain data, September and October are without a doubt above and beyond our driest months in East Tennessee. We get 50 inches of rain a year, but we may go with only getting an inch of rain in October, or sometimes even less. And so, that's a situation that is not beneficial for the amount of winter kill that we see here. We have the driest month in the most critical time that water it needs to be at a sufficient amount in the soil that is going into dormancy, which most of the time around East Tennessee, where we are, is going to be sometime around Thanksgiving, that standpoint. So the hope is that if you don't have such a dry through October standpoint, and looking at the forecast even right now where I am at in East Tennessee, it's been dry. It's going to continue to be dry. We did get a little bit of rain. I don't even think we got a 1/4 inch of rain here across this weekend. And looking at the 14-day forecast, it doesn't look like any is on the horizon. So it's probably not going to kick back up rain-wise until Thanksgiving. And then from Thanksgiving forward, when the grass is effectively dormant, and by then we'll have had a freeze as well too. Then we're going to be getting water on it too late. We'll have had a hard freeze through a period of drought, and that's going to increase our chances of winter kill. And before, and guys, I'm sure y'all have all heard this too, that winter kill is a product of like ice sheeting across the surface. All kinds of different theories and opinions on what it is. Sheets of ice creates some sort of damage right there at the crown of the plant. You can't recover from it. And now it turns out, looks like, that time period of right before dormancy is one of the most critical times, that if it is droughty soil in that you have a higher degree of probability of seeing winter kill. I don't know, this is all very interesting and actionable. DeMay, have you heard, one, did you know this was going on prior to? And second, have you heard any of the recommendations that is coming out of this story prior to this being published?
Yes, I did. So Dr. Hutchins, a very talented researcher, he and I, along with another researcher, Tyler Carr, from Ohio State, will be presenting on this topic in Palm Springs in January. So we've been working on this, cooking this up here for, I don't know, a couple months. They've been doing a lot more of the heavy lifting than I have. I'm there as a practitioner just to kind of show some of the bad things that can happen and pull different levers and everything else. But this work, I think the goal of this is to sort of kick off, a tool, not to necessarily assess and prevent Ray, but more so to the point of like, okay, winter kill is going to be a fact of life. Like even with the breeding efforts and the trajectory of the way that they're going right now, and
Of
the
course. Of course.
other things I'm hearing out of this right now is that there are at least two, if not three, vegetative Bermuda grasses that are coming down the pike that are even leaps and bounds ahead of Ironcutter or Tahoma, which are pretty solid, not bulletproof, but pretty solid. So, um, the thing that they're trying to start working on now is a tool to figure out, okay, hey, if I do get winter kill, how can I quickly assess, respond, and make a plan to respond, and then what can I do to set expectations around recovery and things like that? Because right now it's all over the map depending on what type of winter kill that you have, whether it's from desiccation, whether it's from ice, whether it's from drought, things like that. So like there are a bunch of different things, right, that will predispose, obviously, Bermuda grass to winter kill, but that's an all-encompassing term that it covers a lot of things, right? So what they're trying to do is be able to say, hey, if you have this type of winter kill, you have this type of weather, and this coming out of it, right? Here's decisions that you should make that if you have, this much plant material in a given area, you should, let it go, you should sprig it, you should sod it, things like that. Because a lot of times, what we're seeing now, that big freeze that happened down in Texas, right down through like the Panhandle of Oklahoma and on down 2 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things
Right.
that sucked is that all the sod farms got wiped out pretty hard too. So there wasn't a whole lot of sod to go around. So now you're looking for plant material. Again, it's not so much about, hey, is it going to happen or isn't going to happen, and what can we do to prevent? Those are important things, yes, but it's more important of, all right, it does happen. How do I quickly assess and know in, say, February or March, as opposed to April or May, how bad it's possibly going to be and what I need to do to get prepared to get out in front of it so that we're not behind the eight ball, So really cool stuff. I mean, there's, there's a lot of work done at University of Arkansas before Dr. Hutchins got there. Um, Doug Karcher, Mike Richardson have done a ton of work about, wetting agents and things like that to prevent desiccation, a bunch of other stuff, laid the groundwork, and now, Wendell's taking it and running with it. So, really excited to get out there, and I learn a shit ton. I just sit on these Zoom calls and I just shut the fuck up and listen, because that's about where I'm at when it comes to it. So, yeah.
You had two pictures here I just want to throw up real quick. The first one is going to be mowing height influence on weed pressure. And certainly if you've maintained enough grass, you've seen this out in the field before. I assume those are probably POA sprigs, POA plants that you see in either of the plots there to varying degrees. And you can rely on your pre-emergent as much as you want, but the cultural practices are going to have also a substantial amount of influence on the amount of weed pressure you face over wintering as well too. Then the second one is, and it's hilarious because this goes against so much of what I've seen is common thought. Here we have irrigation prior to freeze event versus a non-irrigated prior to freeze event. A couple of cups here. And boy, oh boy, the number of things I have heard to mitigate the amount of damage that occurs from a freeze event, just to try and get a few more weeks of play or whatever the case may be. And that, I mean, I'm talking everything from going in and restricting irrigation. The other being is that going in and applying like high salt index fertilizers, like applications of potassium nitrate or calcium nitrate. To try and lower the freeze point due to the salt concentration that's actually in the leaf tissue of the plant. There's lots of different ways to try to manipulate it, but it's hard to argue with this right here. Right here, we see exactly how water has such a substantial influence on it. So very, very interesting stuff here. The next one here is the ag economy is in a recession, says the majority of ag economists. It is so more than half of the 70 agricultural economists surveyed in Farm Journal's Ag Economist Monthly monitor believe the United States agriculture economy is in a recession, while 75% of those economists surveyed think the ag economy is on the brink of a recession. Again, not good data out of this. And here's another thing, and people can be mad at me and argue with me all you want. However, I saw a lot of surveys that came in last week regarding which presidential candidate would have a positive influence on the ag economy as a whole and the grain markets And pretty much down the board, everyone said there are no good options for a rebounding ag economy. And so again, on Trump's side, you've got the tariff situation. On Kamala's side, you have the tariff situation, and neither of it looks good or appealing. And so farm is going to be in a tough position. Now, I will say is that one thing that is positive for farmers right now, in the sense that they may see some rebounding prices, is the amount of the United States that's under drought right now. That is helping with prices. However, our export situation is still absolutely abysmal, is especially on corn right now is just absolutely wrecked. The supply demand side is completely ass backwards and upside down. Now, if you're farming other things like durum, sorghum, some wheat varieties, rice, you have really not a whole lot to worry about right now as prices down. Yeah, sure. But you're not in the same situation that a corn and soybean farmers in. There has been slight uptick in soybean exports, but that's pretty much in line with what happens seasonally. And it's definitely not enough to move the Richter scale of the earthquake in the ag economy that's going on right now. So what does that mean for us? Who knows? And it might mean that we end up see some softening in prices to continue to linger in some inputs. Hopefully that occurs in nitrogen. Are we going to see a softening in crop protection products, so pesticide materials? Definitely not. I think that's safe to say, especially with whoever gets elected, that we already have standing tariffs, and those tariffs, with regardless of which candidate gets elected, are not going to go anywhere, and so that's it's going to be difficult on everybody's business. Now, you've got some secondary effects of tighter restrictions from the EPA, looser restrictions from the EPA may or may not soften some things, but all that's up for debate. And in the short term, if we get into another trade war situation with China, that is arguably ongoing right now still, it's just much quieter and it's not very direct, but I think it's super easy to look at what China had traditionally imports from the U.S. from a grain perspective, from an ag perspective, versus what they're importing right now, and it's effectively nothing, zero. And there's a reason for that, and it was Trump passed the tariffs, and the current administration said, yep, those tariffs are good, but they keep saying that tariffs are bad. So it doesn't make any fucking sense. They're both just absolutely brain dead. So anyway, that's where we are on that. Hopefully it's going to get better. But look, the reality of it is that if you think this is going to have any impact on you seeing better crop protection or pesticide products or fertilizer products, chances are, what's there right now is going to stay there. And so, you're in for the long run. All right. Now, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go there. Okay. Gentlemen's. Let's check out this week's Joe Knows Turf.
Joe Knows Turf. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Joe knows turf.
Still want to get Joe on here. He reached out to me. I think I said this on the chat. I can't remember exactly if it was privately or publicly, but Joe says he wants to come on and talk politics with us sometime. So, boy, howdy. That might have to be a pay-per-view event. Maybe we'll do that for our St. Jude fundraiser, because we could probably get a lot of dollars.
I was ready for the challenge.
In fact, I tell you what I would be willing to do with that is that I will do that for our paid members and paid members only, or I will do that on his channel. I'm not gonna talk about that publicly, especially with as heated and contested as it is now. And I will say, then if anybody wants to know where I fall politically, I'm like on the edge of anarchist, kind of like almost legitimately on that side of things. And it's not that I don't see a path where government ever does not end in corruption that ends up fucking the people. And I've got some views that are definitely going to fall, a little bit more on the left side of the spectrum. Immigration being one of them. Mind you, I am married to an immigrant, and I've got some pretty complex thoughts on that. And I think private business should hold the fucking levers when it comes to immigration, and definitely on other things. I'm very far on the right when it comes to that too, especially spending fiscal situations. So anyway, if he does, I don't know why I went off on that tangent. I'm so sorry, DeMay. I got off on there for a second, but I just want to put that back call out there that if we do that, I'm actually okay with doing that with our paid members. I think that might actually be kind of fun for them. And I'd love to debate with Joe about this as well too. I don't think
Boy,
he
howdy.
would know what to say about any of our political views. I think it would weird him out. He'd be like, none of these are on my talking points. I don't know how to approach this. There's a lot of independent thought here, and it
Man.
freaks me out.
Yeah. Yeah, because as you know, I'm probably on the
Put it this way: all my liberal friends call me a MAGA extremist, and all my hard right friends call me a centrist. How about that?
There you go.
I'm just
Well,
I'm just MAGA. I'm just MAGA. Okay. But I'm not, right, Matt? I'm not.
No, not at all.
Well, speaking of somebody who probably should get voted off the island, let's talk about Greg. Greg, JPink, if you want to go to that video and click through about 3 minutes and 40 seconds or so, 337. Greg is going to tell us.
Superintendent for 30 years.
Yeah, this was the gentleman, if you don't remember, that was applying chlorothalonil to his own lawn, telling you that, hey, you probably shouldn't do that, and then defending himself in the comments when he was questioned about it by saying that, oh no, my lawn is a place of business. When it's clearly
I knew he had superintendent experience. I didn't know he was a superintendent for 30 years, though.
For goodness sake, Matt, then how old does that make him? How old does that actually make him? Because he don't look that old. Okay? He don't look that old, Matt.
Unless he considers maintaining he's the superintendent of his property. Then
of his own damn lawn?
He's been a homeowner for 30 years, and that qualifies as superintendent. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It doesn't.
So in any event,
I thought he was a G-man. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
He is a G-man. He does work for the West Virginia Department of Environment in their let me see here. No, I'll find it. I'll let you know. Anyway, so
he's state EPA. How about that?
Yes. So there's a few things here that Greg wants to talk to us about, and I think the premise of his video is that the fall nitrogen blitz is done, which we'll talk about here at the end. But first, Greg makes some spurious points here that I think need to be highlighted in his prosecution of the fall nitrogen blitz. Let's start it with this one.
That much, you just don't want to do it. The second thing that's kind of dumb about this, and the one guy who actually saw his video admitted it does do this. That first application, when you're using 4600, pure urea nitrogen, is why I say do not use anything above 30% of any particular nutrient that you're putting out on a bag of fertilizer. You're going to have a fertilizer particle here, for example, and a fertilizer particle here, for example. And what's going to happen is they're not going to get the overlap of those two urea sources that you put out on your yard. And you're going to get a really green area here and a really green area here. And in the middle, it's not going to get any nitrogen because they are so far apart. And that's going to look
what height of cut are you smoking?
Come back and it is going to clean it up.
Sorry, I should not have interrupted. That's my fault.
You're okay. This is he's right. In a golf environment, that may happen, right? And there are better ways to apply. And we'll get to that here. Greg makes some points about how he does and does not like to apply nitrogen. But in this particular instance, this is one thing I have found watching Greg is that he tries to level up his knowledge, right, by saying, hey, and use it as a position of authority that, hey, hey, I was golf course superintendent. I've done this at a high level, but then translating that down. And I think that, sometimes we have trouble doing that too on the show, to be fair, but not all the time. I think most times we're empathetic enough to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of the person that's doing this. But yes, Greg here, when we have, I would say anything over, Ray, what do you think? Say an inch and a half at most, right? Anything above that, you're not going to see speckling unless you have some absolutely shitty operator and application discipline. Fair to say?
Yeah, fair to say. I mean, but then the caveat is that as long as you are talking about higher cut grasses and fertilizer products with a reasonable particle size, you're not going to have what I call the green Dalmatian effect.
No.
You'll be fine. Just saying.
Be that as it may. So,
and let me provide a little context there. What we're talking about is that particle size distribution and particles per square inch becomes a factor at lower heights of cut. And part of that is how tight the grass gets. It sits on the surface. If you have never seen it before, literally like Ray described, it is a green Dalmatian effect where you have green speckles across. And so in some instances, what ends up happening, especially if it's not irrigated in immediately, you will have some foliar uptake that occurs through the hydrophilicity of the granule. The granule will absorb atmospheric moisture or the moisture that is emitted through the leaf of the plant that will begin to dissolve the outer layer or outer surface of the granule, and it'll actually move its way into the plant via the leaf, and you'll get a green dot in that particular instance if it's sitting on the surface. And when you get up into higher heights of cut, you typically don't have to worry about that. Or the other thing you can do too is immediately irrigate it in. But the timing at which that gets irrigated in becomes more and more critical, where even if you just leave it there for an hour before you irrigate it in, you can still get speckling that occurs. This especially occurs that if you have something like ferrous sulfate in the granule or another form of chelated iron, and it sits on the leaf surface, you will literally get an iron stain, an iron spot on the grass where it has adhered to it, and you've gotten foliar uptake that's occurred from a granule where it has either moisture that's being released from the leaf or from the atmosphere has facilitated foliar uptake. Okay. Context.
Slide up to about 8 minutes and 5 seconds here, J-Ping.
Second thing I saw putting out a quick release fertilizer with a backpack sprayer.
Awesome. We all know who that is in the photo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've had them on the after show.
Yep. I can hear the janitor's keys jangling right now. Go ahead and play.
I would never do this in any situation. The reason being is this. I'll tell you a quick story. Tell you something on myself. Years ago, it was actually the 8th tee of a golf course I was taking care of. And in the distance, I saw this wee little sliver, and it got wide, and then it got narrow, and it was crabgrass coming up. So I went out there and looked at it, and I realized I did not overlap enough when I put out my pre-emergent that June enough with that sprayer. I had gotten away from my last pass, and that wee little area had a great stand of crabgrass coming up. Now, wasn't a big deal. I went out, put a post-emergent down with a pre-emergent, smoked the area. I was fine. Story over. The problem is with fertilizers is if, at best, if you miss a spot, it's going to be peaked and it's going to look, you're going to have this green where you put out your fertilizer. Then you're going to have the area that you didn't fertilize, and it's going to be very distinct, and it's going to be yellow. Worst case scenario, and this is why I generally put out, sometimes I use an indicator dye. Generally, I use a spray foam. Actually, on the end of a boom, you have these little a little tubes, and they put out a blob of foam every probably about 70 feet. Okay, so that way you can overlap. If you're putting this out with a backpack sprayer, if you use a spray indicator dye, first of all, those are messy. I don't use them. They are a pain in the butt. You look like a Smurf when you're done with them. You could conceivably put out with a backpack sprayer fertilizers in when there's dew on, so you can see where you're at. But if you even that, it's sketchy. The likelihood of you being able to put out a uniform fertilizer application with a backpack sprayer is slim to none. That's why I advocate using these hose end adapters. They're very safe. They're methylene urea. They're stabilized urea. You can put them out. They're very convenient to put it out that way. So anyway, and so those are the two things that I saw, particularly putting out fast release fertilizers, that I just had to say something. That's just wrong. Okay, as far as what I recommend
can
you
we
do,
just stop right there and just point out the fact that I get it, Greg. You ran into a skill issue. It burned you before. I think everybody's been there. Everybody's done it. Everybody's gotten a little heavy with the backpack. Everybody's gotten a little light with the backpack. Everybody's missed an area with the backpack. And that's all that is a skill issue. And it takes practice. I think, especially in our early years, we talked about the importance of practicing, especially when people move from granular applications into liquid applications and do some sort of blended approach in their management strategy or management style. Is that any time you take on a new piece of equipment, you have to practice with it, and the more you practice with it, the better you get. Now, we'll say that using a backpack sprayer is a bit like using a bike. That once you get it down, you kind of learn the tricks of managing your routes and managing your spacing, managing the height of your nozzle, and using visual cues to decide where you are. And sometimes that means when you practice the first season, you have to use indicator dye until you feel good and comfortable with it, and then you can start dropping it out. I just don't.
Time's up. It's over.
I don't think that is. I don't think you're given a fair shake that to make a statement and say that using a liquid quick release fertilizer is sketchy at best when there are tens and tens and tens and hundreds of thousands of acres that are maintained exactly that way, even without an indicator dye or without a foaming system. It's a little too nanny for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and if you want to get real fancy, you can have what's called a GPS guided spray controller.
Sure.
Yeah.
People
Well,
in the
I'm going to go all the way. Give Greg a second here. Let him keep talking because he's going to go. If the GPS rate controller is on one side of the spectrum, Greg is going to go all the way to the other side. Are you ready for this?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Video. I'm going to leave it right here at the end. You guys can check that out. I go over what you need to be doing as far as this blitz and all this nitrogen and all this potential mowing, all this watering, because you're going to have to water it in and all this other stuff. It's just not a good idea. And it's, there again, you do not need to put this much nitrogen down in order to get the results that you want. You want to go ahead and go out with a good fertilizer with a modestly high percentage of slow release in it. It takes the guesswork out of it. If you put it out, like I say in my video, around that first frost time, it's going to feed, and your grass is going to be able to absorb it.
So he ends up with a good note here. All right, that you don't have to do this. The whole hose end thing, I would not recommend that. I don't know why he even went there, but a couple of things that need to be pointed out. One is that this whole lawn nitrogen blitz thing has kind of gotten a little out of hand. There's a lot of videos about it. This was all coined. I think we talked about this a couple shows ago from a post by G-Man, who we used to know from the lawn forum.
I love G-Man.
Go out and find it. Good old G-Man.
Oddly, G-Man is one of the people I always got along great with him. I know he was abrasive to some people, but I always got along great with him. And G-Man, wherever you are, just know you still have a warm spot in my heart. Love you, buddy. Hope you and your family are doing great.
There you go. So, lastly, with that, go ahead and put this thing up, J Pink. Let's talk about this real quick and why that little graph I sent you. Why this is important, right? And why Greg does make some sense and advocates for not doing this. And there's a whole bunch of videos that people have sent me over the last like 10 days of people, idiots on YouTube making content, and we'll dive into and show it real quick. But the science behind why this is dumb is illustrated right here in this graph. Okay. On our y-axis here, Ray, we've got ET represented in inches, right? So the amount of water that the grass is going to demand or consume based on water evaporating from the soil and from the plant. And then across here, this is the study that was done by Soldat and Kreuzer and all those guys that basically proved that the last 40 years of research on this whole topic was kind of bullshit. Like, yeah, it worked, but you were way overdoing it, right? In terms of amount of fertilizer and the timing, particularly fertilizer. Okay. So what we see here is on the x-axis, right? We're starting in a date of September 15th, and this is Madison, Wisconsin. And we go all the way over here to December the 4th. And what you'll notice here is that the water use, the demand, if we were going to pick a line of best fit and start up here at about, 0.14 inches and slide all the way down to about middle of November, we'd be down near zero. Okay. So basically what this means is that this is the amount of water that grass is taking up at any given time across this time axis on the bottom. And with it dwindling, this is the main mechanism that about 90% of the nitrogen enters the plant, right, when we make nitrogen applications. So you can see
mass
we're
flow,
getting
right? Mass
flow,
Ryan?
So if we get less
Yeah,
nitrogen or less water in the plant, less nitrogen goes in. Therefore, old boy Greg does make some good points. I don't believe, and I don't like some of his inferences there, and he had a bad experience and everything like that. You're right. Matt's right. You got to suck it up. You got to get back out there. What's that line from Billy Madison, guys? You have a pet. You have a responsibility. You don't just go home and quit looking. Get your ass out there and you find that fucking dog, right? So you get your ass out there and you get rid of that fucking crabgrass, Greg. All right. Same thing with the nitrogen. Get out there, hit it hard, but start hitting it a little less hard as you get towards the end of the month. And that's all there is to say about that. Now, Joe.
And go hit it a little bit earlier in that you go I go look at that graph of the ET for Madison, Wisconsin, and I noticed that by Halloween there's basically very little to minimal uptake happening. Your maximum uptake is actually happening between, I want to say, September and the beginning of October. I mean, that's your prime time.
And
prime time for nutrient uptake.
Yeah, and I'm going to make this
Wisconsin.
point right here. And why water correlates with nutrient uptake is when you see people talking about going out your last application of the year, we'll say they're in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's Halloween, and they're applying an organic fertilizer because they want to provide a slow feed over winter. And why that's a stupid idea is if water facilitates growth, water also is dissolving the nitrogen that then moves its way into the plant. If it's an organic fertilizer, you can go take chicken shit and try all you might to dissolve it in water, and it isn't going to work. That has to go through a whole factor of mineralization
process,
in order for it to become a soluble form that can work its way into the plant. So if you're applying it, we'll say here November 1st, an organic fertilizer with the idea of slow feeding across winter, that's not what's happening. It's literally going to sit there and do absolutely nothing until the following spring, when things start actively growing again, and then mineralization can occur. Then the nitrogen can become solubilized, and then through water uptake, make its way into the plant. Okay, so just going to go. Plants do not eat solids; they uptake liquids. Fertilizers have to dissolve; they have to go into solution in order to make its way into a plant.
Well, Matt and
There's a
Ryan,
lot of different ways that
please,
happens, but a solid is not taken up into a plant.
Can somebody please show me the teeth or other appendage that the grass would have to uptake a solid in absence of water? Please show me that appendage.
Well, I'll tell you, we might.
Is grass eating urea from the back?
Good question. Fair question, Ryan.
It's 2024 after all.
It is 2024. We might find some grass with appendages here in our burns. Let's check out this week's burns. Actually, it might be a return. I don't know. Here we have, did your lawn maintenance company damage the grass? Boy, oh boy. Why is this happening to me? Okay, there it goes. Okay, here we go. About a month ago, our lawn maintenance company mowed our grass. I noticed a spot that almost immediately appeared beneath our red oak. It was about 4 feet by 4 feet, and it looked like it had tire tracks going through it. A few days later, we had our trees trimmed. The company dragged limbs from our yard. Many more spots appeared almost overnight, again looking like tire tracks. We sprayed with the fungicide, and the grass began to look a little better. One thing that showed up on web searches was a scotch to leaf blight. We've never heard anything like this in 11 years of living here. I've been known how to deal with chinch bugs reading columns, but this one has me stumped. Any suggestions? DeMay, was this the original one you wanted to put up? Was this part of it right here, or was it more just
that part? Yeah, just that part right there.
This should be a notice to anyone out there that maintains lawns for a living, is that when someone calls you and accuses you of killing their lawn, you cannot approach that situation thinking, "Oh my God, I killed their lawn." If you walk into it that way, you're fucked, and you're going to end up replacing it at no fault of your own. Here, they mowed my lawn, a dead spot surface, therefore they killed my lawn. That is the complexity that underwent. However, then we're going like, well, we went ahead and did this, we went ahead and that. Then I found a scotch to leaf blight. It is imperative. And it goes on to say there may be people here that are familiar with heat tracking caused by running heavy equipment, especially large mowers. I think anyone that's ever seen, someone out there with a 61-inch Skag, mowing drought-stressed tall fescue when it's 104 degrees outside and it hadn't rained in 2 weeks, and you leave literally, what looks like dead grass, tire streaks across the yard. Yeah, you probably help facilitate that. Is the plant dead? No. And you get a little bit of water, it'll come back. And then the other thing you may see too that often looks like heat tracks, but is not, would be a scotch to leaf blight, which actually is a turfgrass disease here. And affects in a very similar way, very similar aesthetic. And so here you see, oh man, we applied a fungicide, things got better. It's crazy. Why do you think that is? I just want to bring this up to say that you cannot show up to a customer's house thinking I fucked up. You need to show up to a customer's house and train yourself to think this way and say, I'm going to find out why it appears that it's fucked up. But do not go into it thinking I fucked it up. What were some other things in this you wanted to highlight, DeMay? Because that was the one that
just the fact of that, just that big picture of like that. There's people out there that thing A happens and B is the result, and therefore thing A must have caused it, and not the 18 other variables that go into it. And more to the point here, and you just said it, is you don't want to roll up somewhere thinking, what did I fuck up? Or not, I guess there's two parts of it. One, assessing risk so that you don't do something bad when you're rolling up on there, right? We had some good conversations this year. We talked to Turfology about that. We talked to some other folks about, hey, bad things do happen, right? So the other point is, all right, how do we make sure that this either doesn't happen again, or how do we recover from that? So I just thought it was interesting that somebody took the time, right, in today's society, like we just said, it's 2024. Somebody took the time to write into a newspaper and tell them how bad their lawn boy was. So Matt, I don't know if you had that on your bingo card today, that people will still put a 49-cent stamp on a letter and send it to the newspaper, so it goes in there and says, you know what, that lawn boy, he's no good.
Kudos to my fellow lawn boys out there. You know what? In my heart of hearts, you are good. You are 100% good. Florida man, God almighty, the things that come out of Florida
this
is
one's
absolutely breathtaking. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has released more information about the events that have led up to a deadly stabbing Tuesday. Authorities now believe the stabbing was a result of an argument between a postal worker and a lawn care professional. The sheriff's office said the fight broke out at 1 p.m. over a vehicle's parking position on a road. Deputies said they found a lawn care worker, 29-year-old Jacob Whitaker, with upper body trauma following reports of a stabbing. He was pronounced dead at the scene. As of now, no charges have been filed. However, the investigation remains ongoing. Guys, again, what in the holy hell? I'll go to the original one here and see if they shed any more light on this. No, they just said they're looking for information. Come forward. First off, if you're out there, guys, remember, as a lawn care person, the other people that are running service companies like the mail people or package delivery people, whether they work for Amazon or UPS or FedEx or the United States Postal Service, remember, they have to deal with the exact same amount of bullshit that you do. You visit, 10, 15, 20 lawns a day, and you have to deal with 20 personalities. A lot of times they're visiting 150, 200, 300 in a day, and they have to deal with that many personalities that are there. Now they're on and off quicker, and so maybe they only encounter 20 or 30 a day. But how many people are going to be like, why didn't my package deliver today? And like, I don't know. I have no idea. Did you check your tracking number? And it might still be in Michigan, and they're in Florida wondering where their package is, right? Guys, be nice to the other service professionals that are out there. I want to get that out of the way, and just always just muster up the most amount of empathy that you possibly can in that scenario when you see another service worker, because I promise you, they're going through the same amount of dog shit that you have to go through. It is not worth it to get into a fucking fist fight with another surface worker over what? Your car parked wrong, and then you end up stabbed, and then you bleed to death. I don't know the details of this, and the fact that there hasn't been a charge filed yet doesn't really tell us anything other than, they're still either compiling evidence or, there's a case for self-defense. Who fucking knows? But by God, be nice to the other service professionals while you're out there, because they're going through it too, just like you are. Dude. Stabbed to death by a postal worker. Oh my God. DeMay, I just read.
I'm going to the comments section on Facebook.
I'm going to kind of push back a little bit on this. I'm going to push back on this a little bit, because did you know that there are certain neighborhoods here that I refuse to service? Entire neighborhoods. I refuse to service.
Because of the mailman?
No, because of the lack of parking.
Oh.
Lack of parking, okay? I won't deal with it.
So,
you go find some other motherfucker who's willing to deal with it, okay?
I'll put this up in Goodreads so you guys can read it. Go ahead.
Because here's the reality, is that there are certain places where I look around and it's like, you know what? This is a damn neighborhood that was built not to have any other people besides the damn residents themselves ever in this neighborhood. Therefore, this place is a no man's land.
The comment reads, I see the way lawn care professionals park their massive trucks and trailers on the small side roads. They basically block the entire road without regard for anyone else until their job is complete. It's terrible that it had to come to this. Thoughts and prayers to all involved.
Matt, I have a word for that Matt MC. You know what? You know what? I have a word for that Matt MC. You know what my word is to him? He can go fuck himself. All right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
he can go fuck himself. Balls. Yeah, because I hope to God that son of a bitch never has to have a service person on his property doing anything for him. Okay? I hope not.
Chances are, Ray, this guy lives in a rented closet of someone else's trailer park, and he will never, ever, not once be able to afford a service professional in or around his vicinity. So that is one good looking out, and he can stay there and he can smoke all the neighborhood meth that he wants and write just absolutely bananas comments on Facebook, and we'll make sure to cover it here. Man, rest in peace to the lawn care worker, and man, I hope, however it shakes out with the, I don't want to pass judgment on the USPS guy either until he gets his day in court, because I mean, you never know how this plays out. Look, as a lawn care guy, I can tell you that I have had bad days, that I have gone off on people that I certainly should have, and it is a miracle that I didn't get stabbed or shot or whatever, because I am just flying off the handle. And in the other instance, you never know. The postal worker could be an absolute narcissist too, and just was pissed about the position of his truck, and it took his day out on him. So I don't know. I'd like to see this shake out in the laws. I have a better understanding.
Here's my experience with postal workers, by the way.
I've always had great.
A lot of them. No, a lot of them are entitled fucking shits. Okay, entitled fucking shits.
I have never, not once, had a negative experience with the postal worker.
No,
I mean,
I have seen
always had positive ones.
No, I've seen very entitled postal workers, and this is kind of why I think even the USPS should be abolished. Tear it down.
I have.
Shut the fuck
there
down.
have been, where in tight neighborhoods with my truck, that I'm basically mailbox to mailbox, and I'm coming out of a backyard, and I see they're struggling to get it, and I mean, usually the first thing out of my mouth is, "I am so sorry. I apologize." And because I know they're struggling too, and I mean, literally, either they'll wave at me, or they'll be like, "I don't get it. You got a job to do," something like that. I've never had a bad experience, so I don't know.
No,
Maybe
I've had terrible experiences. I mean,
southern hospitality at its finest.
No, I've had terrible experiences where, you know what? I've had to tell them, you know what? I've got a fucking job to do. Fuck off. Okay.
With that, let's check out this week's returns. Yeah. Ray's gonna have a stroke over here.
I was also made aware that the stamps are now 73 cents. I should know that, but I don't. I now know, though.
MLB's pitch for the new turf field at Sutter Health Park strikes out because of the mail carriers in the area. I'm just kidding. I made that part. Strikes out.
Because of random Facebook commenters.
A's Rivercats to play on grass. Major League Baseball's pitch to have the Oakland A's play on artificial turf field in its inaugural season in West Sacramento struck out. It's a push that was promptly met with player pushback. Do y'all hear that? The league reversed course Monday, announcing that when the A's and the Sacramento Rivercats and the San Francisco Giants AAA affiliate temporarily share the field at Sutter Health Park, starting in 2025, they will instead continue playing on a grass field. Since the beginning of this process, we've worked collaboratively with the MLBPA to incorporate feedback from major and minor league players regarding the facilities, amenities, and playing conditions in Sacramento. Based on feedback from players, as well as guidance from MLB's longtime field expert, MLB, the A's, and Sutter Health Park have decided to maintain a natural grass field. This was announced in April. The A's would play at least the next 3 seasons at Sutter Health Park, the current home of the Rivercats, while their new stadium is built in Las Vegas. The A's hosted their final game at the Coliseum in Oakland on September 26. Our shared primary concern is ensuring the best and safest playing surface for the A's, Rivercats, and visiting players. In light of the players' clear preference for natural gas, and after weighing with the MLBPA the potential risk and benefits of maintaining natural gas versus replacing the playing surface with synthetic turf, all the parties aligned in moving forward with natural gas field for opening day in 2025. This is interesting because I feel like, gentlemen, we're seeing a bit more pushback from the player side of things, that they're like, hey, look, if we get a say in this, we think we prefer natural grass. And it's interesting to see that happening at the player level. I'm gonna guess. I don't know, and I'll ask you, DeMay, to see if you know. Do the professional sports leagues do they get to demo these new higher end synthetic turfs that are coming out, whether it's interstitched, different subsurfaces that are installed for risk injury? Do they get to demo that?
I think there's more so testing data, like biomechanical and otherwise, right, that goes into it. But there's certainly, I mean, there's always sort of a first, right? Somebody that's going to take that leap. In baseball, I would say like what the Diamondbacks did in Arizona here, like was that been at least 3 or 4 years ago now, where they switched over. I mean, that was a big switch because they went from grass to synthetic, but it was a pretty exhaustive process that they went through to get to that point. Now, here in Sacramento, it's a much different story, right? This is a AAA ballpark that's going to serve the A's for a period of like 3 years, and they're also going to continue to play the AAA games there at the same time. So they're doing double duty. So they've got
That's a lot.
162 games essentially to play on this field, and it's going to be it's less than that. I take that back, but 150 games to play on this field, and so it's going to be a really really tough road to hoe, but it could be done. The thing is, in Sacramento, and I can't remember, we talked to several people out there before, but I mean, it's 100 degrees out there in the summer pretty regularly, right?
Yeah. I mean, Wiley's out that area.
Yeah. And so do you want to be standing out there at, 7 o'clock at night when it's still, 145 plus on the field?
I did not think about that. Yeah.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing. And, there's going to be overlap. There's going to be times where they're playing multiple games a day and things like that. So I think they're looking at, okay, hey, we might have to do some full field resods. We might have to do these things, but ultimately there's no reason that we can't have grass out here. And I think that's really where the Players Association stepped up, and they were talking about this before it was decided that, hey, this is a issue and we're going to stick to our guns on it. And Major League Baseball relented. So I don't know what that means for some of the other leagues and things like that, particularly the NFL. But it was interesting to hear the players' voice come through and sort of be the lead, be the people that are stepping out in front on this issue and saying, "Nope, that's not good enough. You can do better," and just sit there and wait. I mean, what are they going to do? So I don't know. I think it'll be a good test case in a completely different thing than anybody's been talking about, right? Everybody's been talking about soccer, with the Women's World Cup, several years ago in Canada. Then they talked about the NFL. Nobody's really brought up baseball, right, from that standpoint. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, hey, listen, if they do this right, they do it well with grass, let's get UT on board, right? I mean, you got one of the best turfgrass programs in the country. You got the reigning D1 national champion baseball program. Let's get them on grass. Let's go. Let's go talk to Coach Tony.
Is in Sacramento. T-Dot, I had no idea you were.
I honestly didn't know that either.
Nope. And I'm shocked. I just had no idea you were in California. And I'll be damned. I am shocked. It shocked me so much that I don't normally interact with the live viewers while we record this. And it shocked me. I mean, T-Dot, how many years have I seen your name here and had no idea you were in California? I basically know where everyone lives, except now I know where you live. I'm coming to fucking get you, T-Dot. I'm coming to fucking get you. Just kidding. I would never do that. Probably never do that. If I did come to get you, I'd give you a hug on your front porch. How about that? Boy. J Pink, I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna steal your joke for this, but I'm not. Not anymore. And oh man,
stand in there and deliver.
I'm going to quote it verbatim.
I'll tell it.
Go ahead.
It's not my joke. I didn't write it, but I'll take. I don't mind reading other people's jokes. Let me make sure that I get this. Hey. So I gotta think of a better way to tell this, but the punchline is that the only good Kentucky senator is a dead Kentucky senator. Boy. I was gonna do something about like you can't spell common wealth without common death or something like that, because Kentucky's not a state, right? It's a commonwealth for those who are scoring at home. So take that, like Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Delaware? Is Delaware a commonwealth too?
I think you're right. I don't know, but I'm going to say yes. I trust your judgment on that.
Wealths in the United States. These are things that we need to know. These are the ways you get better. Let's see here. You got nope. Delaware is not one. We were incorrect. Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Virginia, in Kentucky. Those are your 4.
T-Dot just said, "Don't worry, Matt. You smell different when you're sleeping."
Jesus. Oh boy.
Touche, my friend. Touche. All right. This is serious. This is terrible. Kentucky State Senator Johnny Turner has died a month after a lawnmower accident at his house. He suffered injuries when he fell into the deep end of an empty swimming pool mowing his lawn. He was taken to Harlan Hospital and later flown to the University of Tennessee Med Center at Knoxville. And Tennessee, of course, is not going to lend a helping hand to anyone from Kentucky. And so, of course, he ended up passing away. Yikes. I had to let that one go. But hey, if he's from Harlan, Kentucky, chances are he was able to get a lot of pain pills from the trailer parks there, because they certainly do not run short on those. So hope, rest in peace, good sir. And I mean, legitimately, that is a tragic way to go. And I hope your family and everyone is able to recover from that.
I just want to say something selfishly here, real quick.
Uh-huh.
I hope that if and or when I have my mower accident, that I'm not languishing for a month. I hope it's over with real fucking quick.
Without a doubt. Let the blades catch me in the carotid and let's get this done.
And if it's anything longer than say 72 hours, I'll amend my my DNR, right? And put in there that, hey, if there's been a mower accident 72 hours later, these guys named Matt and or Ray might show my room, and they are going to, again, smother me with a pillow until I die.
I'll do better than that.
Because of this joke, this is how I'm going to end up going. I'm going to be paralyzed from just below the eyes down, where I can't talk, I can't do anything, and I'm just going to be stuck there, being able to see and process all my thoughts with zero form of communication other than just moving my eyes. And that.
However, Matt, if that should that happen, Matt, I got you.
That's that's the final.
Likewise, though.
Go ahead.
Likewise, though, should I end up in that condition, I hope somebody comes to my rescue as well.
This
Ray,
will be the
you
final
will have
chapter.
a line of postal service workers out your door in your paralysis.
When again, God forbid, but if and when this does happen, I now will be able to author the final chapter of the Matt Martin biography I'm writing, and that chapter will be entitled, "Why Does Terry Schiavo Get to Have All the Fun?"
With that, do we have anything in the mailbag? Hell no, we don't. Yeah, no, we don't. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to go. I don't know. I'm going to pray a rosary or something. I have no idea. I mean, just after that one. We are going to try and get a distributor sales rep on here, and we will be nice. We will be nice. No, I'm just kidding. This is a great guy.
He's a great
so
dude.
we'd have. He can give us a lot of inside information and actually talk to us about navigating early order programs. We're probably a little late on it this year, but how you can use those best to your advantage and score some of that competitive pricing that ends up resulting from taking advantage of early order programs. And so I look forward to having him on and being able to dive a little deeper into that. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the flip side. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you. Bye. Terry
Still don't
Schiavo.
understand why that got put in the returns.
I did that. I did that because I'm not going to lie, John. When I saw he passed away in a tragic accident, I got really excited.
All right.
I had read that earlier this week, and boy, I was really hammering down on the Harlan, Kentucky jokes because I mean that is the most destitute area in the entire United States. And it's amazing that they have managed to pump as many drugs into Harlan, Kentucky as they have with just I mean, you talk about a place in America that is absolutely fucking ravaged. Harlan, Kentucky is so fucked, it'll never recover. Never. You could burn that fucker to the down to the ground and it would not recover. It is fucked. And I will say this, everyone I know who's from Harlan, Kentucky are some of the nicest people in the entire world. Like, easily. Some of the nicest people.
So,
and
how did that happen,
and
Matt?
government,
I'm curious to know how did that.
Government has continued to tell the population that you need us to save you, and for generations
We're
they've
going to
made
bring in the
those
jobs.
promises. Yes,
we're
bringing jobs. And what do they bring in? They bring in more fucking prescription pain pills, and you know they cut deals.
How
with
interesting that, because I had a horrifying thought. I need to get the hell out of from where I am before I develop any kind of chronic pain type issue in my old age. Because if I do, I am so fucked. Okay?
The good news is that fentanyl is aplenty. In fact, you can order bags of cocaine now, and there's a pretty high degree of probability fentanyl will show up. So, you know, look, the streets are rife
right?
with opiates. Oh yeah, there is no shortage of opiates on the streets. That is for sure.
Oh, so all I gotta do is just kind of titrate or guesstimate my dose then. Pretty much.
Oh yeah, you just wing it. Just 100% wing it. And nowadays, this is like even fentanyl is going to start running scarce. They're just going to switch it straight over to nitazines and just really kick the
nitazine,
off
the
hardcore.
nitazines. Yep.
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 All right, let's see what do we have from the folks here, J Pink.
All right, so we got One Good Father Away. What you put in will be softened with both.
Right off the fucking bat. God damn,
Yeah.
that was heavy. And then we went into fucking headlines. God, it took me a minute to catch up from that.
There's a lot of spice tonight.
Greg smokes rocks. Plants and porn stars take in liquids.
Ew, Telly.
My grass has an extra appendage during Halloween. Rip 49-cent stamp. Now it's 73 cents.
73 cents.
Another worker goes postal. Still amazing. Matt giving hugs on front porches. The only good Kentucky senator is a dead Kentucky senator. Return.
Still good.
Halloween death talk. Why does Terry Schiavo get to have all the fun?
No, you gotta say it. You gotta say it in the whiny voice. You gotta say it. Why does Terry Schiavo get to have all the fun? I want my feeding tube pulled too.
Oh my god.
I'll read these so you don't have to. Pill milling the lawn right to hell. Toy owner's manual says it right here. No diving. And Kentucky winter kill is altogether different.
I read that the first time, DeMay, and I didn't get it. And then after I put together all the layers of that onion, it sung to me.
You'd have to listen to the whole
that
episode.
had layers.
Yeah, you had to go deep on that.
Jesus Christ. Boy, that should honestly be the title of the episode is Jesus Christ, but we'll pick one of these. Looks like One Good Father Away takes it.
Yeah,
that's
Great.
it.
One good father away.
Hopefully she'll hear
she'll
hear your cry for sanity and abstinence, Matt. And
well, I mean,
I have low expectations.
Just wait, because there's what's her face that's trying to break the 950 dude mark in 24 hours. So
that's the same chick.
It's the same chick.
Oh wait, it's the same chick. I thought it was a different chick. This was just her dry run for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't dry.
She just wants more.
Yeah,
she wants more.
It's more like when you go to the water park and they got that. I was gonna. What did I say to Telly last night? That by the end of those 1,000 guys, her blood type will be Astroglide.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, how do you seriously?
I can taste
do you
copper.
just,
I don't know why.
Do you just not tell anybody that's what's going on, and they just show up and they're like, oh, and you invite 2,000, so that you get 1,000 guys who are just like, fuck it, I'll stay.
That's how fucked up we are as a society, is that you can put that shit on the internet and you'll have a fucking 1,000 guys in an hour line up to fucking do that. I'm not worried about her. She wants to do that, go ahead. What's more fucking telling is that there are 1,000 dudes that are like, 990 dudes fuck that chick right before me within the same breath. Sign me the fuck up.
How many?
I want to be the 1,000. I want to be the 1,000. What is wrong with people, Matt? What the hell's wrong with people?
Incels are gonna go home, catch feelings, and be mad 2 days later. That fucking bitch never texted me. What a fucking whore.
Exactly.
Or
they're gonna be laying game on her while she's laying there, fucking just miserable, saying, "Please God, get this over with." And they're like, "Baby, I'll take you to Outback Steakhouse after this, and you don't even know what you're gonna be missing if you let me walk out of this room."
Want some of that pumpernickel bread?
Yep.
You ever had a blooming onion, baby girl? I bet 999 wanted to do it raw. I bet 1,000% you're correct, Telly, and that's even more telling to where we fucking are. Could you imagine if that's the caveat you put on it? Yeah, it's got to be 1,000. It was 1,000 guys to be it raw. Yep, same. Within an hour, you'll have 100,000 applicants, and it's off to the fucking races. God Almighty, there's a lot of missing.
Yikes!
A lot missing out there.
You see,
all right.
Yeah, there's
love you all
a lot. Bye.
Y'all be careful. Stay out of jail. Wednesday.